Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Good morning. My name is Sebastien. I'm in 10th grade. I'll be presenting my chemistry and math PoL. And I'll be starting with my math PoL. This is my homework completion chart, and so pretty much what I do is we had a specific chart. We had to find the homework and then grade ourselves on the grade that we got on it. And so I have, you can say it's the beginning. I completed my homework properly, and it started dwindling, I guess, the more I went along. That was because I was starting to rely on just being, I was relying on the tests and saying I was studying pretty much on the tests, and I wasn't focusing on as much as on the homework, even though the homework also does count almost as important as the test. And I did complete my homework. I didn't complete it completely. I understand my homework when I would do it. It was just from organization and time, and also just filling it out completely. I did not check my answers when I would complete my homework. If I had a question, I would kind of look it up, research, and then because I was pretty sure when I would do the question, I would do it properly. So I wasn't double checking my answers. So for my assessment score chart, this is pretty much the same thing, but with our quizzes and tests. And here I did pretty well throughout. I was completing them completely, A's, B's. And and what helped me a lot is that if I got something wrong, I would fill out my test corrections, and I would boost my grade up as if I didn't get that question wrong. And so what I would do, it says, how did you complete your corrections? Name resources. So I would look back at the problems, and I would get a friend or a partner. Usually I work with Sam and River, and we'd go over it and kind of compare answers and work on it together, and then I would put that into the corrections sheet. And how did I figure out my mistakes? Well, obviously it was marked wrong, or I had to change it, and then I'd actually start over the problem, and then I would kind of compare them and see, okay, I added this wrong, or I didn't actually finish the answer. I just stopped halfway. And how I would study, I would take usually notes from in class, and I would review them, or I would go to my previous quizzes, because usually we have a quiz 1 and quiz 2. I would make up my problems, or go online and find similar problems and solve those. So what grade I feel that I deserved this semester? Yeah, this semester. Well, currently have currently have an A- in math, and I believe I deserve an A because I've showed improvement, which I will show in my evidence through tests, and I've improved on organization, and overall I feel like it's been a big improvement since the beginning of the year. So for my evidence, my lowest essential skill and learning target that I chose to prove to you my mastery was essential skill 1, quiz 1, learning target 1.1. So this was the first test and the first quiz of the year, I believe. And it was on identifying each pair of angles and the vocabulary. So this here is my quiz, which I got this question wrong, and then this is my test, which I got the same type of question correct. So this shows also my mastery throughout, from the beginning to even just a couple weeks after, once we had the test. And what I did here was that when I would look at the problems, I had angle 1 and angle 5. I'd see angle 1 and angle 5, and I believe I wrote, what did I say? Oh, I said they were corresponding. So what angle 1 and 5 here, so they would be alternate exterior, because corresponding would be, for example, 8 and 6, 1 and 3, because they would be on the opposite side, but they would be in the same position, I guess you could say. And what the reason it's alternate exterior is because if we were to take this away, this would be on the opposite side of the transversal facing the outside, so it wouldn't be within the parallel lines, and this is also on the outside. So that would be alternate exterior. And then on my test, I got it correct. Well, not the same problem, but the same type of problem. It was 5 and 11. Yeah. So I went to my next piece of evidence. So this is quiz test 2. So this is another evidence, which is actually from the same quiz and the same test. And here, I believe I got this one wrong. 6 and 12, so angle 6 and 12 would be 6, 12. So this would be alternate interior because you have the parallel lines, they're both inside of it, but the opposite sides of the transversal. And I wrote, I wrote corresponding again. I don't know, I was struggling with corresponding, just my vocabulary in general. And then here again on the test, I got the question correct. So as I went over, I believe I deserve an A. This is a clip from my power school, and this is my grade that I have currently. So I have an A minus, and I believe that could go up to an A, a solid A. And I believe actually my A minus is accurate because although I have a problem with organization, I still do well on exams and tests and usually on accountability, and also just my behavior in class. And now I'm on to my chemistry PoL. And for my chemistry PoL, I went over Unit 1, gases, which was the unit that I actually did the worst on, I believe. And my evidence is from the Unit 1 evidence is from the Unit 1 NCM. So my first piece of evidence, which is a question from the test, which I got wrong, says when a coal tire is inflated to a certain pressure and then is warmed up due to friction with the road, the pressure increases. This happens because the blank. So the reason what happens is that when you fill a tire up, there's air molecules inside of it. And when you heat up the air, where the tire starts creating friction and creates heat, the molecules start moving faster and they bounce against the inner part of the tire more often, creating a higher pressure. And, or actually no, I got this wrong. Right, sorry. I did not get it wrong. And so this is the question that I picked. I said air molecules speed up and collide with the tire walls more often. Now to my second piece of evidence. Sucrose decomposes at approximately 160 Celsius to 186 Celsius and turns into caramel. What is the temperature range in Kelvin? So what Kelvin is pretty much Celsius plus 273. So if we have 160 Celsius, add that to 273, you have 433. And when you add 186 plus 273, it becomes 459. So when you add 273 to Celsius, it becomes Kelvin. So it's kind of the transition. And the way to do that is by adding 273. Now to my third piece of evidence. Which volume will be occupied by a gas containing 1 mole STP? So 1 mole STP usually takes up around 22.4 liters, and that is the answer that I picked because 1 mole STP, it takes it up. It's a pretty simple problem. Okay. So for this question, a container of chlorine gas with a volume of 400 ml and a pressure of 400 mm, Hg is decreased to 200 ml at a constant temperature. What is the new gas pressure? So for this, the equation that I would use would be P1 times V1 equals P2 times V2. And so what I would do, so P1 means it's the first stage, or the first step of a temperature or a size. So, and if it becomes smaller, there'll be a second step. So it's how it starts out and then how it ends up. So what it ends up would be P2 or V2, and how it starts out would be P1 or V1. So, well, here we start out with 400 ml, so that would be V1. So let me just write out my So for my first stage of volume, it would be 400 ml, and then a pressure of 400 mmHg. So that would be my first pressure. So another 400. Okay. And then it's decreased to 200 ml. So the volume is decreased. So we don't know what P2 is, we don't know what pressure 2 is because it's not stated in the question, so that's what we're going to need to solve. And then, but we do know our second volume because it says that it's decreased to 200. So I got 200 ml. Okay, so now what I would do, I want to get my pressure, my second pressure alone. So I would divide 200 ml. I would do the same to this side. And then I would just cancel out anything that kind of looks similar. So ml here, I would take it out from here. And that way it's just 200, 400, and then 400 mmHg. So we know that the answer is going to be mmHg because that's pressure. So we're going to keep this. So what we have here is 400 times 400, so that's 160,000. So we have 160,000. And then, so 160,000 would be these two multiplied, and then we divide it by 200. So divide this by 200, and the answer would be 800. So our answer would be 800 mmHg. And that's what I circled here for this question. And on to my last piece of evidence. The ideal gas law relates to what four properties of gas together? So the ideal gas law would be PV equals nRT. So pretty much just asking what each of these letters stand for. So obviously P would be pressure, V would be volume. So I looked for a question that has pressure and volume. So I saw that this question says pressure, temperature, number of gas particles, and volume. So with our equation we have PV equals nRT, so I can cross out the P because it goes with pressure here, and then V goes with volume, then number of gas particles, and cross that out, and then temperature. So I know that the answer D has all the qualities of this equation PV equals nRT. So that is why I circled that answer.
And that is the end of my presentation.
Awesome, thank you.
Any questions?